Want to imagine that he first came to Washington over 12 years ago, now leaving as a former president. And truth be told, Donald Trump has not spent much time in Washington either. You could tell by that speech he gave. He's coming to change it completely. And likely within the next few hours to start to undo many of the things that President Obama considered his accomplishments. Rainy afternoon here in Washington. Wind is blowing, as you can see. Cookie Roberts, I think it was Nancy Reagan who said Ronald Reagan wanted one extra turn around the Capitol in that helicopter before heading out.
And you know, while he was in that helicopter, he was asked, what was it like to reflect a little bit? And coming as an actor to the presidency. And he said, I don't know how you could be. It is quite something, and they will be coming back to Washington, but still, none of us ever get that view because it's restricted airspace, and it is a wonderful, wonderful view of this beautiful, magnificently beautiful city.
He will be coming back to Washington simply as a citizen and a father to his daughter who will be in high school. And as we see him head to Andrews, I want to bring in one of our political analysts right now. Talk a little bit more about that speech. Alex Castellanos, supporter of the president. Was that the speech you expected?
I thought it was a little hotter than I might have expected. I mean, that was their declaration of war against a Washington establishment that many Americans think has grown greasy with self-interest and self-importance. And but yes, that's the change that Donald Trump campaigned on and that he's determined to make. It reminded me not of any presidential inaugural speech I've ever heard, but of Huey Long, who said, you know, Republicans and Democrats are just different waiters bringing you the same food from the same kitchen. Well, Donald Trump is cooking in a different kitchen. He is going to upset the apple cart in this town.
He's going to upset the apple cart in his town, but it is now a town. And Matthew Dowd, you've pointed this out. It's a town now where you have Republicans controlling the House and the Senate, the White House. Soon there will be a new Supreme Court justice chosen by Donald J. Trump. But none of the institutions right now enjoy majority support.
That's what I think is fascinating, and it's the first time in modern polling where we have an inauguration where not a single person that holds a lever of power is supported by a majority of the country. Both parties aren't supported by a majority of the country, the Congress isn't supported by a majority of the country, and the new president is not supported by a majority of the country. The only person supported by a majority of the country is on that helicopter leaving town. And that makes a very difficult place to govern and lead from when basically the majority of the country is opposed to every single person and institution that sits in Washington, D.C.
That's right. I mean, President Obama leaving about 60% approval, some of the highest approval ratings of his term, and most of the time he was well below 50% through most of his 8 years. And then, of course, remember George W. Bush could not garner majority support in the country either. Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake, a Baltimore Democrat, your thoughts on the speech?
I think he's going to learn very quickly that it's a lot different to talk than to get things done. And while I thought it was in some ways inspirational, I was encouraged by the talk on about infrastructure improvement. Where's he going to get that money from? The same people he just blasted on the stage. So I'm trying my hardest to stay optimistic, but it was a pretty harsh speech.
Kristen Soltis Anderson?
From my perspective, this was very in line with the sorts of things that we've heard Donald Trump talk about all along, but I actually thought maybe the speech was a little less hot, less combative than perhaps I was expecting.
How so?
It wouldn't have surprised me if he had gone completely off prompter and anything can happen with Donald Trump. And so the fact, from my view, it certainly sounded different than a traditional presidential inaugural address, but maybe not as different as I was expecting. Certainly dark in tone in many places. The phrase American carnage really sticks out to me. The images of factories closing down, echoes of a big Billy Joel fan sounded like Allentown with the factories closing down and things. But this is what he did at his convention, and back then we said, well, is this too dark a tone? Is this really where America is? And now he's the president of the United States. I think there are folks that feel hopeful, but right now have felt forgotten, and he wanted to let those people know, I'm now here for you.
He said, I've taken oath of allegiance to all Americans. Martha, so I have to say, what struck me was that closing gesture, the clenched fist.
I've never seen anything like that at the end of an inaugural speech. Never. And we've all talked about, is this a re-election speech? Well, there is a huge difference, as the mayor and some others have pointed out. He has to fulfill those promises. He is now the president of the United States. Can he get rid of welfare and get everybody back to work? Good luck with that. Can he get rid of ISIS completely? Those are huge, complicated challenges.
And Mary Bruce, he's going to get to work right now in the Capitol. He's having the lunch with the members of the House and the Senate, also expected to go at some point and sign his first executive orders.
The president now is off to the side of the rotunda right now in a room appropriately called the President's Room. He's there to sign a series of official documents completing the transfer of power. Also,